Hi, I'm Robert. I've been on the ideal protein diet for 8.5 weeks now, and I've lost 43 pounds. Tonight we are making zucchini chips. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is prep your zucchini. There's a couple different ways you could do it. You can slice them long ways, or you can slice them in circles. I'm going to slice them long ways because it saves a lot of time in the prep. But to slice them long ways, you absolutely need a high quality mandoline slicer. If you're going to cut them in circles, it's easier with a mandoline slicer, but you can do it by hand. So cut off the ends. And then I cut it in half so it cooks a little better. Now you're going to slice your zucchini chips with the mandoline slicer. Be very careful with these slicers because the blades are extremely sharp. So there is a little bit of waste with this method. When you cut them in circles, you don't waste as much zucchini, but it just takes so much longer to prep because you have a lot more pieces to lay out, and you'll see that later in this video. Okay, now that you have your zucchini sliced, we're gonna lay them out and dry them. This is a very important step. Oh, but also I wanted to mention another benefit of the mandoline slicer is you're gonna get consistent thickness on the slices. So when you dry them out in the oven, they cook a lot more evenly. So let's get to laying them out and patting these down with a paper towel. So I use 2 cookie sheets to prep the zucchini. And you're gonna wanna roll out some paper towel. This uses a lot of paper towel. Like I said, this is a really important step because if you don't do this, your zucchini will not come out crispy. And now we're just gonna lay them out. So this is the part that takes a lot of time, especially if you cut the circles, because they're smaller, so you have a lot more pieces to lay out. But when you have little slices like this, don't use them, just toss them. Okay, now that we have the zucchini all laid out, you're going to want to put paper towel over top of it, and we're going to press the water out. So ideally you would do this with a rolling pin, but I don't have one, so we're going to improvise. We're just going to use a cup. Apply a good amount of pressure to make sure you're getting all the moisture out of the zucchini. All right. Now the zucchini is a lot drier than it was before. I'm just going to fold this up, get it out of the way. Next step is to cover your cookie sheets in parchment paper. When you're tearing parchment paper, I find that it's easiest to tear this way going out. And now you're going to want some nonstick spray for the parchment paper, just a little bit, and then we're going to spread it out evenly. So to spread it out, there's probably a better way, but what I like to do is just take a paper towel, wad it up a little bit, and kind of just wipe the parchment paper. All we need is just a really little bit of the nonstick spray to make it so the zucchini doesn't stick to the parchment paper. And now you're just going to lay the zucchini out on the parchment paper. So again, you can see why it would take so much longer if you were doing little circles of zucchini versus these strips. Okay, so we've got all the zucchini laid out on the parchment paper, and now we're going to repeat the process for the second tray. So what I usually do is just bunch this all up and put it on top of the tray we just finished. And now that we've got all the zucchini laid out, we're going to oil and season it. But first you want to preheat your oven to 225. So you're going to use olive oil to spread oil over the zucchini evenly and very lightly. And I like to season it with fresh ground black pepper, garlic powder, and the Ideal Protein salt. If you don't have Ideal Protein salt, then I would recommend probably using fresh ground sea salt. So what we're gonna do now is I just have this little prep dish and this pastry brush, and we're going to take the oil. Like I said, you want to spread this on very lightly, because if you put too much, you'll end up with oily chips. So you're just going to spread it on lightly. See how I'm dabbing the oil off on the side of the bowl? It's to make sure I don't get too much oil when I first put the pastry brush on the zucchini. And I like to go kind of across just to, again, make sure it's as even as I can get it. This would actually probably be easier with an oil mister, but I don't have one, so this is how I do it. We're going to repeat the process for the second tray, and then we'll get into the seasoning. Alright, so we've got the oil spread across both trays now. So we're going to use our Ideal Protein salt and get some salt on it. Just sprinkle it very lightly. It's kind of to taste. I've done this about 10 or 12 times now, and I've oversalted it a couple times, undersalted a couple times, so you'll just have to experiment. But I just like to, it's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but I just like to go like this. And that's it. And now we're going to put some fresh ground black pepper. Just hold it up kind of high and evenly spread it throughout. And this is also to taste. If you really like pepper, then you want to put more. If you're not such a fan, then just put a little bit. I like pepper, so I put a little bit more. And now we're going to put garlic powder, which again, kind of to taste. I put a little bit more garlic powder than I do salt. If you want, you can add other seasoning. I've put onion powder on it before. I put paprika on it. I've even put Italian seasoning. But I actually like just these three ingredients the most. So at this point, you're gonna put the trays into the oven, and you want to set your timer for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then you'll swap the trays and you'll put them back in for another hour. Alright, so I stopped the oven about 10 minutes early because they are done. Alright, our zucchini chips are cool now, so let's get them ready to pack up. Put them on a plate or straight into the bag, whatever. Easier this way for me. And enjoy. Thanks for watching. Check back for more Ideal Protein and Keto videos.